Hello, Insiders. Today we'll be taking a trip to the village of Little Happens to witness the witch trial of a woman named Elizabeth Gadge. And what is named spelled backwards, I hear you ask? Demon, apparently. And I do feel like calling out a witch finder for things like spelling is exactly the kind of thing that would have got me burned at the stake had I been born back in them days. But I wasn't, they didn't burn me, and I'm here now with a microphone and a YouTube channel, so let's talk about another classic, number 9. So, from what I understand, Elizabeth Gadge has become something of a fan favourite in the number 9 community, which is really quite something in a series that already has so many fan favourites already. And I can see this being the case for a few good reasons. First, because it's a setting and a topic that the creators clearly have a very deep interest in, and the effort and level of attention really makes it shine. Second, because the combination of cruelty and absurdity make for that unique brand of comedic horror that Steve and Reese are so famous for. And third, because of the Series 2 running order, it ended up being somewhat overshadowed on broadcast by the emotional juggernaut that was the 12 Days of Christine, much to the ongoing annoyance of Reese Shearsmith. But today, Elizabeth Gadge gets its own place in the spotlight, and I'll be looking at the episode completely on its own merits. And let me tell you, there's a lot of merit to be had. The premise of the episode is that two witchfinders, Mr. Warren and Mr. Clark, have arrived in the town of Little Happens to conduct the trial of Elizabeth Ann Gadge, played by Ruth Sheen. And a fair trial this is most definitely not, as Mr. Warren is just choking to see her burn, and gleefully twists every detail he hears to support a guilty verdict. Mr. Clark, however, is clearly having some doubts about the whole business, and seems to be the only character who consistently sees past Warren's warped rationale. The odds are very much stacked against Mrs. Gadge from the beginning, as her family clearly just want her out of the house, the whole village is eager for a witch burning because it's something to do. Plus, the town magistrate, Sir Andrew Pike, played by the late great David Warner, seems to want to do the right thing, but is clearly overexcitable and easily swayed by Warren's convictions. He's like a kid at Christmas who's really into pain. Throw in a cute little mouse named Snowflake and some brilliantly delivered medieval smut, and you have yourself a solid half hour of black comedy. What's not to love? But is this a comedy, strictly speaking? I mean, yes, my mind did go straight back to the witch trial scene from Monty Python, plus the cast has got some great comedy pedigree between the show's creators, Dennis Pennis, and some Horrible Histories alumni. Even David Warner, who'd been known for these really dark, villainous roles in the past, got some of the biggest laughs out of me, especially for any gag involving the pair. That was a lovely wee addition from the props department and pretty accurate to some of the medieval torture instruments I've seen at various UK dungeons. And if you're not familiar with what those are, I probably sounded like a bit of a deviant just there. Anyway, Warner's delight and fascination with all things pear-shaped is a guaranteed laugh out loud for me, even after many, many rewatches. Honestly, this video could have just ended up with me repeating all my favourite lines for like 10 minutes, so I've tried my best not to end up doing just that. But hey, if you just can't help yourself, then feel free to share all your favourite lines in the comments. I do read them all, and I will be laughing with you. But at the same time, there's a huge amount of historical detail and a real sense of tension, menace and torment throughout the trial. Because, as the writers did plenty of research into actual witch trials from the time, the ridiculous nature of these accusations are kind of beyond parody. The constant references to imps and suckling are straight out of those old records and transcripts, and basically anything a person did could be twisted into an accusation of witchcraft, especially if you were a woman with opinions that the town didn't particularly like. So yeah, it's a pretty bleak subject matter considering what actually happened to countless very real people. And yet the absurdity of it all and the sheer tenacity of Reese's character clashing with any rational explanation, it does work extremely well as a black comedy, and I think it's the creator's fascination with the subject matter that really shines through. Production-wise, this was some real commitment to the bit as well. The whole episode was filmed on location in a barn at the Chiltern Open Air Museum, which has had quite a busy history when it comes to period dramas for film and TV. The shoot took place in December, so as you can imagine, it was extremely cold, and the final scene ended up having to be redubbed due to noise from the rain. I keep saying, working in TV is not always as glamorous as you might think. Eve Barr did a great job in the costumes, as usual, and the script had to be adjusted because they could only budget for the full cast of extras for one day. All things considered, it's kind of amazing that they managed to pull this together at all under such strict time and budgetary constraints, and it really speaks to the professionalism of all involved. In the episode commentary, which Steve and Reese ended up releasing on SoundCloud, it also mentions that there was some material cut presumably for runtime, which to my knowledge has never been published. This included some discussions between the Witchfinders on the stages of torture and the devil's appearance in everyday objects like steps, which I would love to have seen performed, but sadly we probably won't get to. It is, however, available in the number 9 script books for your reading pleasure, but that's probably as close as we're ever going to get. Like the commentaries, this material would have been perfect for the DVD release, but it was not included for some reason. And I think it's quite reasonable for us all to conclude that an imp was somehow responsible. Alright, so here comes the spoilery bit. So if you want to duck out and watch the conclusion of the trial for yourself, you'd be best off stopping here. But don't be tempted to grab that Little Happens road sign for yourself, and you'd be too late anyway, as that prop has already been claimed by Reese. I believe he said he keeps it in his living room. Anyway, take care, hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next video. As for the rest of you, wasn't that another great double twist? Well, triple twist if we add Mr. Clark's neck to the equation. Both twists were a great spin on the tale that would have worked great on their own, but you know number 9, it's always one step ahead. I know some of you may have wondered, as I briefly did, that if Elizabeth really was a witch, then did the evidence and accusations against her have any merit? And the funny thing is, I still don't think they do. The fact that they were right about her seems to be more of a coincidence than anything else. And now I'm actually thinking about stealing this plot point as an origin story for a D&D character, so we'll see how that goes. There's just so much in that final scene that I love. Sarah and Thomas Nutter's insane apology and the fact that they've started a local trend of witchcraft accusations. And of course Sir Pike like a happy schoolboy with a toffee apple and a novelty hat. The whole witch trial as public spectacle and entertainment doesn't even seem to be that far off the trends of the time it was written, where reality TV and gossip mags were king and Jeremy Kyle was still on the air. But that's something we'll be getting into more depth in for episode 6, so I won't bang on about that topic too much right now. Even in the final moments, which I'm sure someone is going to complain about and say that the cheap effects ruined the whole episode for them, the concept was sound, and for the shoestring budget that they were on, I have to say they did pretty well. And as a self-confessed crazy rodent lady, I like that Snowflake was in the whole thing too. He's so cute. He reminds me of a hamster I adopted recently who hopefully is not a demon. Anyway, that was the Trial of Elizabeth Gadge, another number 9 classic, and I hope I've managed to give it the recognition it deserves. Next up is Cold Comfort, because the hits just keep coming with this series, and I've talked about that one before, but I'm really looking forward to revisiting the Comfort support line and having another chat with Chloe. I've also been reminded, in part by seeing the collaboration between the lads and David Warner again, that this year marks the 20th anniversary of the League of Gentlemen's Apocalypse. Now that's a film I definitely want to talk about, so you can expect a little something about that on my channel in the near future as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this retrospective. Please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see the next one as soon as it comes out on YouTube. And as always, big thanks to all my lovely Patreon people who help support the channel and get to see these videos a little bit early. That's it from me, Insiders. Remember to watch out for imps and demons, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.